Article 27 of the Belgian Confession deals with what is one of the most confusing aspects of the documents of the faith, whether the confession or the creeds, and that is with regard to a belief in the Holy Catholic Church. And so it explains that belief with this. It says, we believe and confess one single Catholic or universal church. That is a holy congregation and gathering of true Christian believers awaiting their entire salvation in Jesus Christ, being washed by his blood and sanctified and sealed by the Holy Spirit. This church has existed from the beginning of the world and will last until the end, as appears from the fact that Christ is eternal King who cannot be without subjects. And this holy church is preserved by God against the rage of the whole world, even though for a time it may appear very small in the eyes of men, as though it were snuffed out. For example, during the very dangerous time of Ahab, the Lord preserved for himself 7,000 men who did not bend their knee to Baal. And so this holy church is not confined, bound, or limited to a certain place or certain persons, but it is spread and dispersed throughout the entire world, though still joined and united in heart and will in one and the same Spirit by the power of faith. Three quick things on Article 27, the Holy Catholic Church. First of all, just a clarification that by the word Catholic, it is not referring to the Roman Catholic Church, but to the sense that there is one universal church. And by universal, they use the word Catholic because there really isn't another word that works perfectly for trying to capture what's being said. Because universal doesn't necessarily get it either. The universal can give you the false impression that we're universalists and everybody's in the church. And that's not exactly what we mean. That's certainly not what we mean. What we mean is that there is one church that has existed from the beginning, that there have always been the faithful, believers in God and believers in his word and his promises. So that's the first quick thing, that Catholic means universal in the sense of that there aren't many churches that God has created. There is only one church. And then it goes on to explain that. So the second quick point then, by way of explaining that, is that this one church is made up of all those who have true faith. So all those who have believed in the promises of God, Old Testament and New Testament, all have been awaiting, even though in the Old Testament period they did not know the fullness of what Christ would do, but God, through his Spirit, gave them that faith in his promised Redeemer, his promised Messiah, and in the forgiveness and grace that were to be brought by him. And so from the beginning and until the end then, so the church, this one church, will exist throughout the end of time. So it's not going to get snuffed out. It's going to continue to be protected and built and cherished by God against the rage of the whole world. Even if it looks for a time like it's been snuffed out, it hasn't been. God continues to work through the remnant that he holds to himself in those difficult times, and then again will grow the church as he determines that next season of fruitfulness. The third quick thing is that it's not just through all time, but it's in all places. And so every tongue, nation, people, and language that God has determined, as he has revealed in his word, he will be bringing people from all these different places into this one church. And one of the testaments, the manifestations of the fact that this church is indeed one, is that even now, even though we can't have fellowship with Paul or one of the other disciples or one of the other early Christians or with Abraham or with David or other Old Testament people of faith and experience the oneness of the church in that sense, we can with people from all over the world. And so one of the great experiences is to have fellowship with believers from a completely different place in the world, and yet even though many of their practices may be different and unique and their worship may be somewhat different from that which we are accustomed to, it is very clear in spending time with them that they are also people of the exact same faith. And that's a great encouragement because we see God going about doing the very thing that he has promised and bringing such different people from such different places in the world all to the same place of humble joy in bringing us to our knees at the foot of the cross of Jesus Christ. And so that is what we mean when we talk about one holy Catholic church, one church made holy by God through the sacrifice of Christ, and that we are all in one body, and one day we'll all be together with him. All right, those are 3 quick things then from Article 27.